We have all looked up into the clouds and seen faces and animals. However, residents in Arizona spotted what looked like a giant square cloud. The photo made the rounds on social media, leading some to link the bizarre weather phenomenon to supposed government attempts at geoengineering and weather control. HAARP is a little-known yet critically important US military defense program, which has generated quite a lot of controversy over the years in certain circles. Though denied by HAARP officials, some researchers allege that secret electromagnetic capabilities of HAARP are designed to forward the US military's goal of achieving full-spectrum dominance by the year 2020. Others have even stated that HAARP can and has been used for weather modification, to cause earthquakes and tsunamis. When strange shapes like this appear in the sky, people tend to blame HAARP. However, there is no proof they are using technology to control the weather. HAARP denies that they're hiding a weather control machine up in the frozen north, and they deny that the installation could be a tool used to control the weather. The HAARP system is essentially a large radio transmitter. Radio waves interact with electrical charges and currents, and do not significantly interact with the troposphere. The photos show a giant square-like cloud covering the clear sky. One commenter had this to say: "This is real as I was there. I saw this giant cloud while I was out with my girlfriend, and it was weird looking. It didn't look natural, but the strangest thing was how big this thing was. It was huge." The cloud appears to have 90-degree angles, which has caused heated discussions online. Some have said the photos are real and shows weather testing. However, others aren't so convinced. Some have suggested the photos are actually fake, and that someone used CGI to create them. As of today, the strange-looking cloud remains a mystery. Amphibious anomalies have shocked and terrified both businessmen, farmers and police officers, and remain one of the most intriguing cryptozoological mysteries in the United States. One of the most intriguing cases encountered is that of the Loveland Frogman, or Loveland lizards. The story of these unique creatures began in May of 1955, on a lonely stretch of road that runs along the Miami River in Claremont County, just on the outskirts of a small town known as Loveland. At approximately 3:30 AM, an unnamed businessman claimed to have witnessed 3 bipedal reptilian entities gathering on the side of the road. The man pulled his car to the side of the curb and observed these creatures for what he estimated to be around 3 minutes. During this time, he noticed that these strange beings stood between 3 to 4 feet tall, were covered with leathery skin and had webbed hands and feet. However, their most distinguishing characteristic was their distinctly frog-like head, which the man claimed bore deep wrinkles where the hair should have been. Just as the man was about to leave, one of the creatures suddenly held what the witness could only describe as a wand. The eyewitness could then see the strange creature holding the wand above its head. Thus begins the bizarre legend of the Loveland Frogman. This tale would be fascinating enough if it ended there, but the 2 most significant encounters in this case were yet to come. At about 1 AM on March 3rd, 1972, nearly 17 years after the first report, a police officer was travelling along a roadside heading towards Loveland when he saw something that would change his life forever. The officer claimed that he was driving slowly when he saw what looked like a dog on the curb. Suddenly, the animal darted in front of the car, forcing the officer to slam on the brakes, in order to avoid a potential collision with the creature. Once the police cruiser came to a halt, its headlights fell upon the animal. At this point, the officer described something that seems literally too bizarre to be true. In the span of seconds, this crouched, frog-like creature stood on its 2 legs, stared back at the policeman, then scrambled over the guardrail, and scurried down the embankment, finally disappearing into the river. The officer in question described the creature as being 3 to 4 feet tall and weighing in the area of 50 to 75 pounds. He also claimed that its skin had a leathery texture and that the animal's features resembled those of a frog or lizard. Another officer investigated the scene later that evening. He saw no sign of the creature, but reported there were distinct scratch marks on the guardrail where the animal purportedly crossed. The second sighting occurred 2 weeks later while police officer Mark Matthews had an encounter of his own. According to the report, Officer Matthews, while driving into Loveland, spotted what he believed to be an injured animal lying on the pavement. Matthews climbed out of his car with the intention of removing the carcass from the already ice-slicked road, when the creature suddenly lurched upwards into a crouched position. Taken back by the reptilian creature, Matthews took a shot at the creature, which then proceeded to hobble over the side of the road and step over a guardrail, all while keeping a watchful eye on the trigger-happy officer. Matthews' Frogman matched the first officer's description down to the last detail, with the exception of a tail which was absent in earlier reports. In the years which have followed these events, Officer Matthews has changed his story. He now claims the animal in question was nothing more than a large reptile which escaped from its owner. Some have said that Matthews' change of heart was because of ridicule by superiors. It's hard to believe that this creature ever existed, but one has to question what other animal you would confuse this with. The creature designated Organism 46B was an aquatic beast allegedly captured by a Russian scientific team near the research outpost Vostok Station. Organism 46B was an enormous 33 feet long, 14-tentacled squid-like creature which lived in Lake Vostok, a subglacial lake located under 2 miles of ice beneath Vostok Station in the Antarctic. The animal had limbs which were aggressive even after amputation. It could release a toxin into the water to immobilize its prey from a distance of up to 150 feet, displayed an astonishing degree of shapeshifting, and showed a considerable degree of both hostility and intelligence. Vostok Station, established by the Soviets in 1957, was discovered to have been sited atop a vast body of liquid water beneath the ice in 1974, which was subsequently named Lake Vostok after the station. After 30 years of ice core drilling, the research team finally breached through the lake on the 5th of February 2012. This, the only encounter, must have occurred sometime between then and the 30th of November 2016, although exact dates have so far proven impossible to track down. Dr. Padalka claims to have been part of the first scientific expedition to explore the lake, saying the following: "We encountered Organism 46B on our first day. It disabled our radio, which we later learned to our alarm was intentional. Later, while diving in the lake, the group were attacked. The creature releasing its venom which took hold of one of them. Still later, 46B followed the group, displaying its shape-shifting ability. It shaped itself into the form of a human diver. We thought it was one of our colleagues swimming towards us in scuba gear. By the time the closest scientist had realised what it was, it grabbed him. Escaping the creature, a member of the team managed to chop off one of 46B's tentacles, although the severed limb attacked the group again. After finally trapping the creature in a tank, the surviving members of the team brought it to the surface, where they claim Russian officials seized the beast and told the international press that nothing had been found. Some have suggested the team could have discovered a new species of squid, and this new species was hostile towards humans. Over the last few hundred years, people have been reporting sightings of a giant bird. The Thunderbird is a cryptozoological creature associated with large bird-like animals. They are said to live anywhere in northern Canada and Alaska down to Central America, with recent sightings even being witnessed here in the UK. Since pioneers began moving west across North American plains, sightings of large birds have been reported. Similar stories appear from civilizations around the world. Native tribes all across North America, especially along the Pacific coast and in the Great Lakes area, have stories depicting enormous birds of prey. Some stories told that these birds were so large and powerful that when they flapped their wings, thunder was created. The tribes used thunderbirds to explain some things that happen naturally, such as storms and other forms of weather. Sightings of large bird-like creatures have been reported for many years, at least since people began settling further west in the United States and Canada. One of the most famous reports is from the 1890, when 2 Arizona cowboys claimed to have shot and killed a large bird. It was described as having no feathers, and it had the head similar to an alligator. The 2 men supposedly dragged the bird back to the local town. The report seems to suggest this creature looked more like a pterosaur or a dragon than any modern bird. These flying creatures are often associated with modern-day pterosaurs, which were thought to be extinct for millions of years. One witness said the following about their encounter. "Me and my son live in Texas. One day my son was playing in the garden and I could hear him shouting that he'd seen a huge bird. I thought at first it was probably a bird of prey, so I decided to go and take a look. When I reached the garden, I could see this giant shadow. After looking up, I saw exactly what my son described, a giant bird. I would estimate this creature had a wingspan of 20 feet. It didn't make any noise and just hovered silently. Annoyingly, I didn't have my phone on me to take any pictures, but I'm sure of what me and my son witnessed. It definitely wasn't a native bird as they don't grow that big. I have read online and people have witnessed a similar creature. We've not seen this giant bird again since the encounter." We have seen giant creatures appear in the news. However, this photo seems to show what looks like a giant frog. Recently we posted about the giant pigzilla that was seen in Hong Kong, but now a photo from Texas shows what appears to be a giant frog. The photo reveals what appears to be a frogzilla, and it has left internet users baffled by its enormous size. The frog is believed to weigh between 14 and 20 pounds. The individual who captured the frog stands by the fact that the creature is huge. However, social media is crawling with skeptics, some of whom wrote on Facebook that the photos look photoshopped, or staged to make the frog look bigger. Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.